Kendall has spent over 6 years as a passionate backyard beekeeper. As Langstroth said, it must be manifest to every reflecting mind that the Creator intended the bee as truly as the horse or the cow for the comfort of man. As a young girl in 1990s near Los Altos, California, she was fascinated about nature during an educational field trip to a farm.
So I started keeping bees about 6 years ago. And originally, I didn't think of bees until I was in college. And in college, I had a friend of mine, and his father got bees just on a whim and didn't tell his family. And one day he needed help doing something with the bees, and so he asked his family, and they were like, no, 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 no. And so I was like, oh, sure, whatever, I'll give it a shot. And I was just surprised at how docile they were, and they were just really calm and pleasant. So when I had the means, so I had my own backyard, the first farm animal that I got to put in it was bees.
During spring, beehives are moving full steam ahead into honey making. Kendall looks at the condition of the comb, whether the queen is laying eggs and if the bees are bringing in pollen.
Around this time of year, so just coming through winter, which is the hardest part of the season for beekeepers, I have fewer hives than I typically have. So right now I've got about 10 hives, but at the height of the season, so in the middle of summer, I'll probably go up to 20 hives, and they're all kept in people's backyards. From each hive, I could get about 5 to 7 gallons of honey every single year. That's very dependent on the weather, so I have very high hopes for this year because we've gotten such a great amount of rain, so we're gonna have a lot blooming. During the drought years, I was seeing almost half of that. So there's a huge impact on the honey production just because of the amount of flowers that are blooming.
During summer, bees build combs and bring nectar back to the hives.
Oh, I don't think it takes very much time to take care of a beehive. Honestly, I think it takes less time than taking care of my cats, which I have to feed every day and clean up after them. With the bees, it's kind of more of a weekend hobby. So especially if you only have a few, I spend significantly more time taking care of my bees because I have so many. But if you wanted just a hive or two in your own backyard, it could certainly be just a weekend task.
And now it's autumn. It's peak honey collection time, but also time for making sure your bees are prepared for winter. Kendall brought with her a handful of frames hefty with honey, which she had removed from a hive earlier today. She's demonstrating how to remove the capping, a layer of beeswax, from each side of the frame using a heated knife. When the frames were freed of their wax coverings, they are placed in an extractor, a metal centrifuge that can suspend 2 frames inside. The user then turns a crank, transforming the frames into a blurry fan that empties the honey cells into the extractor's inside walls. The golden ooze collects at the bottom of the centrifuge, where it is then released by tap into a gauntlet of strainers and cheesecloth. Once fully filtered, the viscous liquid is released into jars.
You can do tons of things with bees besides just honey. I think honey is the first thing that comes to mind, but as an offshoot of the honey harvesting process, we typically also get a lot of beeswax, which is in a lot of our favorite products. So some of the things that I do, I make milk and honey and soap from beeswax. I also make beeswax lip balm. You can also make lotions, so a lot of beauty products have beeswax and honey in them because of such the great properties for your skin. On the woodworking side, you can also even use it as a furniture polish. So a lot of people use a mineral beeswax furniture polish. With the honey, you can also add that into beauty products, which I also make a milk and honey bath bomb, So there's tons of fun things because you just get so much honey. There's a lot of things that you can do with it.
But her real passion, though, is bee education. She was recently involved with bringing a learning hive to the San Mateo County Fair. She visits classes to teach children ages 4 to 6 about bee basics, and she holds workshops for adults to introduce what she calls newbies to beekeeping.
So my favorite part of beekeeping is honestly probably the educational aspects of it. Actually, when I started keeping the bees, I didn't even really like honey. And I've since kind of learned to love it and use it in my baking, and it's just such a different flavor when I do it myself. But the original reason I got the bees and the reason why I still love doing it today is because they're just so fascinating. I could sit outside and watch the bees come and go from my hive all day long. They have different colors of pollen coming in. So right now rosemary is blooming and they have this light greeny gray pollen coming in from it. There's some that is bright red pollen, and it's just so fun to see that activity. I actually call it bee TV. You can just watch them all day long. And then inside the hive, watching them raise their young, they're just so fascinating.
Each bee has a job in the hive, and the hive works so well because each bee does its job. When the flower blooms, the bees come uninvited. Kendall's fascination with bees and the never-ending stream of things to learn about them has inspired many people to learn the art of beekeeping.